Good evening, Blues. Everton winning 3-0 against Newcastle. Well, how often do we say that? Basil's with me. Basil, how are you feeling straight after the whistle? Everton sealing the deal with 3 goals in just 11 minutes.
Pretty elated. That was just an excellent victory. I was sat there really worried we were gonna just concede a goal, walk away from it going it's 1-0 loss, and we should have won 6-0 with all the chances we had in that first half, and just going off the boil a little bit for 20 minutes in that second half. But then out of nowhere we got just a delightful finish from McNeil on the counter attack, and that just set Everton in motion. And then after that it was just one after another, wasn't it, for 10 minutes. And you could really sense how the feeling inside Goodison, it would have been an exceptional atmosphere to be at in that last 10 minutes. And Newcastle just tired out in the end and just couldn't live with it. And I think one player who epitomized that at the end was Jack Harrison, and his pressing and his running. They just couldn't live with it. It wasn't even a pure quality thing. It was just our work rate and pressure, and Newcastle just tired out.
Yeah, you could definitely see that. I mean, how often in the last year, I don't think it's happened very often, have we had any Olays where we're passing the ball about keeping possession? And I think, I thought we'd already had at 2-0 more than our fair share of joy, and then Better goes through, and it's a really strong finish, isn't it? And we just didn't even have the strikers in previous seasons. Anyway, there's lots to unpack here. Thank you for joining us. My name's Stevie. This is Basil, and we are Follow Everton. If you've just joined us and you only watch Everton when they win at home and keep a clean sheet on a Thursday night, please like and subscribe. Of course, Everton winning today. It was a prime performance in more ways than one, wasn't it? And I think that Everton finally basically put the ball in the net. The performances have been there this season. They just haven't really capitalized on them. And I think this is a really good sort of turning point. And December's a big month for us, but Everton really moving now away from the relegation zone and hopefully looking upwards. If it wasn't for the 10-point deduction, of course, we know Everton would have been 10th right now and above Chelsea, who they face at Goodison at 2:00 on Sunday. But going back to today's match, I think it's going to be very hard for Evertonians to get to sleep tonight, because basically all the goodies came at once, and it really felt like a convincing win in the end. But of course, it was never quite as convincing as that. It really took quite a long time for Everton to find the breakthrough. We're going to go back through the match, and then we'll take your comments. Please do let us know what you think of Everton's win today. 3-0 at home to Newcastle. And thanks again for joining us. So start going back to the beginning of the game day. I think that it was, the team news that caught our eye. Coleman coming in. He's been out for some time. And of course, Calvert-Lewin into the starting lineup. He proved himself in this game, Calvert-Lewin, how much of a threat he is. What did you think when you saw the lineup?
I think everyone's $1 million question would have been, where is Ashley Young going to be playing in this lineup? Because it was, I think most of us thought, he's not going to go to a back five and put Coleman in. It's not really the Dyche style. But, Ashley Young moving to one of those attacking positions, either left wing, right wing. Some people were saying he was going to play midfield, but it was a real question. But very quickly you could see he was playing off the right, and Jack Harrison was the one employed in that number 10, and Doucouré dropped down. So you're thinking, 2-3 players are out of position here. You're missing James Garner through an illness that came up just on the day of the game, and we're in that season, aren't we, where you've got to expect the odd absentee for illness. And you're worrying a bit. I mean, I was worrying with the lack of James Garner and Onana, two players who are really comfortable when it comes to sitting in that midfield, receiving the ball and passing it off, and they don't panic and they dictate games. And both of them being out, it leaves you with Gay and Doucouré, or I wasn't sure who was going to play alongside Gay, but you were fearing it. But we what we did, it really worked, and it just shows you, even with those few absentees, that the game plan and the system that Dyche has built into these players over the last year has begun to really develop, and it makes us a side rather than a team of individuals.
Well, I think the performances have been there, but this is definitely one where things started to click together. And I think that anyone who was doubting Dyche now probably needs to eat their words. Anyway, going back to the match, and Everton started quite brightly in the first 7 or 8 minutes. But again, we didn't capitalise on it. And it was Newcastle that had the first chance. It was Alberon, actually. He was put through by Joe Linton, and it was a bit of a tame finish in the end. I expected him to score. I just don't know why. But of course, in front of the Gladys Street, you expect those sorts of things to go in. But it was a weak effort, and I'm sure that Newcastle rued that chance. Then on 17, Calvert-Lewin gets up from across. It was a nice floated ball in from Harrison, but really it was just a half chance because it really was a bit above him, even though he has such a fantastic leap. Then we had the McNeil chance, didn't we? Which again, it was just there was shot after shot. I mean, Everton actually had as many as 12 shots. They were like a hockey team in the first half, but they weren't on target.
So many you can think of. There's Branthwaite's header from the corner, which he could have got a cleaner connection with. That looped cross from McNeil that's planted on Calvert-Lewin's head that is tamely finished. The one slid through from Harrison, the through ball that Calvert-Lewin latched onto and didn't get a clean strike. That was a really good chance. Obviously, McNeil's, you just said, the one he just dragged wide. So many chances. You're thinking,
and you just think it's the same story.
Not another one
same
of
old
these
story.
games,
But the big one came on 39. David DCL, he's basically right in front of goal, 5 yards out the park end. He had a lot more time than he thought. Basically, the chance came in. It was a bit high, but it was an absolute golden chance.
Yeah, he had time to kind of take it down, didn't he? He could have waited for it to get on the half volley even, I think. But he didn't realise that, and you can't blame him with the speed of the Premier League. But it was kind of a bit of a weird chance because the ball loops over. Tarkowski reads it, as he usually does, gets in between two defenders, and then suddenly it's like he's got the world of space and he's 3 yards from the goal. And it's like all you have to do is get it on target and you're probably going to score. And Calvert-Lewin, I don't know, he's not quite with it, is he, with his clinical finishing right now? But hopefully that will come in future games.
Yeah, I think it will come. And he's played, I think, 10 out of 11 games or 9 out of 10 games. And that's an extended run in the side. If you've just joined us, we're just replaying through the game. We're going to go through some comments. Please do like, subscribe, tell your mates, and celebrate Everton's big win today. Home to Newcastle by 3-0. That's lifted us above Luton into 17th place and outside the relegation zone ahead of the next home game against Chelsea. And of course, we will be previewing that match as early as tomorrow, so I better get some sleep in between. But yeah, going back to the game at half time, you just thought it was the same old, really. We had all of these chances, yet we just can't put them away. And then it was a bit of a mistake. I mean, it was almost a flawless performance from Everton because I felt that we were committed to everything on that pitch. We wanted it more, and we also showed ability, composure, quality at times as well. But on 61, Tarkowski does make a big mistake that could have led to a Gordon goal. I mean, basically, he shuts it straight the keeper, doesn't he?
This is Tarkowski, but I think Pickford kind of puts him in when he didn't really have many options around him when he received the ball. Perhaps he should have gone back to Pickford, but he kind of dawdles on it. Gordon gets in there, and then Gordon it was a tame effort. And I think Gordon was getting chances. He had that shot from the edge of the box that he curled well over and wide.
Yeah, that was the one from Isak that thread him through. It wasn't that long after.
Yeah, there was a couple in that second half, and I think Everton fans would have really enjoyed his wild finishing tonight.
Yeah, of course, it just added an extra sort of story to the game that was, I suppose a lot of people were looking at this game thinking, if we get a point from that, that's good. And that's exactly how I was thinking. Around 78 minutes, I was thinking a draw would be useful, but we don't want to get beat here. And of course, you knew that there was a decent amount of time still to go. And it was goalless at this point. It's amazing to think that. And then all the magic really happens. Really, if you're looking at it from a Newcastle point of view, please look away now, because it was all down to Trippier, who basically, it was a big mistake from him. Basically, McNeil pounces off a very poor touch. He drives forward into the box and he just thumps the ball into the net. I mean, you've seen his quality of his left foot. It's a really stunning finish. I must admit, I went wild. The little one probably woke up, and I think next door neighbours, they're Man U fans actually next to me, but they probably were shouting. But yeah, I was pretty loud.
You can't help it because the emotion are coming off it, thinking that I think the game was turning a little bit at this point at the 60 minutes, as you said just before. They were getting a couple of chances. We were making some mistakes around the back, and I think we were starting to lose a little bit of focus in what we were doing. I don't know how you feel about that, but I just kind of felt we weren't creating even those sorts of shots we were getting in that first half. We weren't really getting near their goal, and we were lumping things forward. And I think things weren't really coming off for us in that second half until that point. And as you say, Trippier kind of just gave us that bit of momentum with what he did. And Calvert-Lewin makes a really intelligent run off the left, which opens up space, knowing McNeil's got this wonder of a left foot to strike it into the corner. And he delivered, didn't he? And I think we all jumped up and we all screamed a bit because I think we were thinking, this is heading for a bit of a drab defense on top, 0-0. And that goal is almost like if somebody scores in this game, you think you're going to win the game.
For sure. If you just joined us, Everton winning 3-0. Surprised that it's Everton winning 3-0, not the other way around, personally. But of course, that's maybe we're just being so immune to Everton's home performances. And also Newcastle have been a very decent side, and they're not doing as well as they were. They're currently in 7th with 26 points from 15 games, and they're not hitting the heights that they were last season. Everton, of course, this win is massive. It basically puts us within 3 points of Forest and at 1 point above Luton. But I think that the way they're playing is not like a side in the relegation zone, one with confidence, one who are actually picking up points. Going back to the match, it was yet another mistake from Kieran Trippier. So that won't do them any good. And I think that they've been, you could look at it from the Newcastle point of view and say they've made mistakes, but Everton did make them work quite hard, and they were chasing Everton for a long period of the time. I think the press has been excellent under Dyche in the last few games, and this was illustrated because you make mistakes when you're basically trying to pounce high up the field, and Everton did seem to be quite high up in the field. And the goal comes, it was a very cool finish from Decore. He slots home after a sort of false dummy from McNeil, and the ball obviously comes to Decore. He's basically dead centre, and he can't miss. He's been finding the net, and he's now Everton's top scorer this season. And the goal comes on 85 minutes, and of course you think that's curtains, 2-0. That can't be any more than that. And of course we go slightly less wild, but still wild, because you do see that as being the winner. And then, of course, 90 minutes comes up, and then there's another 10 minutes at it, and you think, oh, what's going on here? 10 more minutes of this. But in actual fact, I resisted looking at the league table, and really just so surprised in the way that Everton kept possession for a lot of that, and the commitment that they showed in the last 10 minutes of injury time, David, would have been really pleasing for Sean Dyche.
I think the crowd, getting on supporting the team, the singing and the noise levels boosting, Everton in that last 10 minutes, being 2-0 up, then 3-0 up, just gives you an immense amount of confidence to just, the energy that you just don't need the energy, because it just comes to you from that adrenaline, from getting those 2 goals up away at home to that a really good team. And I think that just, we just carried it through. We were just excellent in the last 10 minutes, keeping the ball. I think Newcastle really tired out, though, you've got to say, and they did have injuries. Their first team that they had there was a really good 11, but the bench was weak, and I think they couldn't really change it when they were tiring. And I think, they've played probably a lot more games than us with the Champions League. So I suppose it does start catching up with you in the last 10 minutes of games. And Everton are kind of known for their stamina under Dyche. And I think winning the ball high up the pitch is where we're most successful in terms of creating and scoring goals. I think those moments of pressure, like that, the Harrison just chased down Trippier from like miles away for that second goal, and that's why he gives the ball away, and we pounce on it, and then it's 4v2. The desire to get like 3-4
Man in the
men
box, isn't it?
in the box in that moment when you're winning the game 1-0, and just put it to bed. It's something we don't usually see from an Everton team. We usually just back off and everyone sits in the defensive third, and we just give up a bit and hope we can just scrape across the line. It wasn't really like that. We really did see out the game, which was really good, and it had parallels to kind of the reverse of last season, where the game was quite even and Newcastle scored near the end, and then they scored 3 goals in succession. It kind of had that feel, but we did the reverse. We were the ones getting those goals on the break and just suddenly turning what was like a stalemate into like a 3-0 miles apart win.
Yeah, absolutely. And that third goal comes. It's great strength from Beto. It's great possession from Everton. I don't know how many passes were in that play, but the ball just gets chipped up to Beto. He's on the right hand side, sort of just before the paddock, running towards the Gladys Street end. And I don't know if any other striker that Everton's had up front in the last few years would have been able to do this, but he just runs right through on goal. And when I thought he was going to lose it, he just has the strength and really the coolness to put the ball between the keeper's legs. But I mean, that's his first Premier goal, and doesn't he deserve it? He's worked really hard since he joined the club. Not always had the chances, but I do like Beto.
Kind of weirdly made me the happiest of the 3 goals, because you can just see how much he wants to score and to help the team to win. And the chanting and him sort of fist pumping in the air, you can see what it means to him. And I think he works really hard, and things haven't really come off for him in those games. And he's struggled in moments for various reasons of adapting to the Premier League. But he does have real quality. He's just getting up to speed. But really useful to have that amount of pace in transition on the counter attack.
It gives an extra dimension, and especially if the game's stretched and they can't run back because of that. Let's have a quick look at the stats before we go to the comments. Obviously, it's one of those things where possession is only one part of the story. Everton probably had a bit more of it than they've had in the past against the bigger sides. But look at the shot count, 21. As I said, they're like an NHL side. But this is what's really mattering is the shots on target and the conversion. So 3 from the 6 today, finally, they happened. I mean, could you imagine if it was 0-0 and we had 21 shots? I mean, I don't know how we would be talking about this. But Everton looked threatening throughout. They won on the corners as well. Fouls, of course, we're not too proud of. But, that shot count. I mean, there was a time when Everton just didn't have a threat at all. It wasn't that long ago that we were putting up comments. We have some legacy comments from our previous hosts and things, and you look through them, and it really doesn't make bleak reading. And then a performance like today, you wonder how Dyche has done it. Is he a magician? His philosophy of play has come into this side, and if we give him long enough, I think that we'll do better things than most fans kind of expected. Let's go and have a look at the comments now, because I know lots of people joining, celebrating, and very happy with Everton's very hard fought and well-deserved win today. So let's start going through. I think that everyone's entitled to a say. Anyone see anything negative from the game today? It's all looking so far quite positive. Barry says he feared the worst when Garner was missing, but fair play, we were boss. We certainly were, Barry. I think we absolutely sort of capitulated Newcastle, and they couldn't cope. Beto. He was, I think, in the end, the highest rated player on the BBC stats the last time I checked. But McNeil was the highest rated player. Who was your man of the match, David?
I think you have to give it to McNeil for effectively, the catalyst in what won us the game. And I think McNeil is on form, and that's 2-2 for him, isn't it? And 2 excellent strikes. But the way he just kind of brings the ball down, his touch, his crossing today was really good. His drive, it's that clinical edge, and it's no wonder the likes of McNeil and Decore were on the score sheet, because they're the ones who really have been putting the ball away for us. But I'd shout out to like Mikalenko, Branthwaite, just excellent. The whole back line was really good today. Like they just didn't let Newcastle pass. Just strong, good in the tackle. I think if you look at the stats in terms of tackling, we've got like I don't know. I looked at half time. I think we were 12 tackles to 1 or something. We were just really aggressive and just winning the ball back. So I think the whole team were there's most of the players were gave really solid performances, but you've got to shade it for McNeil.
Yeah, it's actually really hard to argue with that and to say that he wasn't the man of the match. He's got a really beautiful strike on him as well. Do you feel he's wasted in the lefts and in the positions he's playing, or do you feel like he's playing his most effective role?
I wasn't sure whether he was going to play in that 10. That's how I thought we might start off with maybe Young off the left and Harrison keep him on the right so we don't disturb too many positions. But he played off the left. I think it's because of his crossing ability. I think you keep that left foot, so you can whip balls in. And I think Mikalenko needs that little help there. You'd be interested to see him on that inside role, but I think he has played, especially off the right, and struggled. So I think at the moment he's playing really well there. Why move him? And I think Harrison I didn't always enjoy seeing him there because I think moments he's a bit like small and kind of like struggles with the physicality a little bit when there's a challenge going in. I want him to just go through the ball, and I don't think he has that. But I think he has a bit of pace, so there's moments where he can really be effective in that role as well. So different strengths. I mean, Decore was playing deeper, and
Decore can play anywhere for me.
Yeah,
I think we've got a picture of McNeil. Barry says McNeil had a beautiful left peg. Here it is. Beautiful picture of Dwight McNeil's left peg. We got to celebrate this Everton win today. Smash that like button if you like our raw content. So yeah, going back to the game, comments. Well. Our barcodes, little barcode friends. Everyone's got a friend who's knows Newcastle fan, some Geordie. It's just one of those things, isn't it? If you're from Liverpool, you know someone who's from Newcastle or went to uni there and things like that. We've all met them, and they are annoying away fans as well. I've always found them quite annoying away fans. But Coleman was back in. Dave Thomas says 60 grand, which is it's chump change now. It seems to feel less and less every year that goes by. But he's, we thought maybe he played his last game, but he's still there. What a credit to himself, the family, everyone. Well done, Seamus. Thank you again for putting in such a hard-fought performance and for being such a big player in the match today. Dave says Beto deserved his goal, made up for him, of course. Yeah, we've even got fans from other sides. Everton played a lot better than they did against Man U. Kevin Shaw's a United fan. We always like having fans from the opposition, and we've got one on tomorrow. We've got Martin Booth, a big Chelsea fan, joining us as a special guest in our preview of the Chelsea game, which I'm sure is a match that everyone's now suddenly looking forward to that they probably weren't before this one. Chris Peacock
win 3 games in a row. You wouldn't even think Everton could win 2 games in a row before sort of a month or 2 ago. But I think the belief is there.
Yeah, I think that there's a good chance of Everton picking up points, but you may also, it could be negative, but you might think that a point, solid 4 points from these 2 games would be satisfactory. I mean, we spoke a few days ago saying, would you take 2 points from these 2 games right now? And I think absolutely. I think you would have taken them. So Everton have already secured 3, which somewhat does take the pressure off. And Dave B says these are massive points. I think every point is massive. But the key to this is that they're not playing like a side with fear in the relegation zone. And I think that when we were playing in the past, it was very much panic. I mean, there's 10-point deduction. I think we've all been a bit upset about it and sad. But actually, it's galvanized everyone, and the side look even stronger than they did, and we were winning games. But for what was going on, Paul,
It's just I don't like the narrative that because of the 10 points, we've been galvanized, and it's caused us to suddenly start playing, because I just don't think that's true. I think nothing's
Mm,
really changed, but the important thing is that we have continued the form and the mentality that we had before the 10-point deduction. And I think
mm,
that's clear from these last 3 games that we've continued. It's all about consistency. And with the extra 10 points, yeah, you're on 20 points. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the appeal, because I think most people will think that it will be reduced somewhat. But it'll be interesting to see how many points we're on at that point and how that impacts any decision. Does it? Will people making that decision think, well, Everton are already safe, or Everton are still in there, and how that makes them feel about how many points they make? Because whatever
mm,
points deduction we do get, if it is a deduction, has an impact on City and Chelsea and whoever else. Because if
mm, mm.
we're already safe and then they take the points deduction away, then City are going to get a lot less of a repercussion. So I think there's an interesting thing to come with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're spot on. People that think Everton have suddenly suddenly changed the name. I think changed the name of the game, and it's not. It's probably coincidence, but maybe it has just put a bit of an extra spring in our step. Big shout out to Peter, to Petter, to Petro, to Pad and Poddy, and everyone on our channel. Thanks everyone who's commenting. Lots of people saying, "Where did you get the 10 minutes from?" Shout out to Mike, to Dave, to David, to Dave, Dov. Mark says, "Get in there, Blues." I think that's all that matters, right? It's that raw emotion. It's just, you come out of Goodison, the pies are smelling, the chips are thing, the horse manure's on the floor, it's dark at night. There's not going to be that many night games left at Goodison, right? There really isn't. And I think that people they're elated the fact Everton have won today. And we're trying to keep a calm head here, but deep down, it's probably sleeping about 7 hours from now. But yeah, it did seem like an awful lot of stoppage time for a lot of our fans.
It would be
Good
good
to
to
see
get some
Everton winning.
perspective.
Hate those Southern and Manchester clubs, says Krypton to the end. I do like it when fans from other clubs come on. Peter says, Mikolenko, man of the match. Yes, he did get a very, very high rating on the BBC. I don't know what you even think about these BBC scores, but what it is people will vote a score and then they look at that average ratings and things like that. So Mikolenko was quite high. I think he was just behind McNeil. But yeah, keep them coming in. So yeah, I mean, just really looking forward to Everton's remaining fixtures in December now, and I think that this has kind of been a great start to December, and McNeil in particular has almost sealed Everton's 6 points in quite a quick space of time. And it's amazing how things can turn around, because when you're in a relegation zone and you're 6 points off safety or whatever, it does seem like an awful way back. But then really in the space of a week, we've had quite a lot to celebrate, and it could be even better on Sunday when the Toffees face Chelsea at Goodison. It's a 2:00 kickoff. And so a shameless plug for the preview that I have with Rye and Martin Booth, our Chelsea fan. It's tomorrow. It's at 7:00. Hopefully we'll have a press conference. We might just have had a couple of hours of kip. But we look forward to joining you, and hope you can join me, Ryan and Martin, as we look forward to Everton's match against Chelsea. Of course, everyone will have work tomorrow. It's unusual having a match on a Thursday. There's not been that many, but there were plenty during the Europa League, David, and I think you probably have to go back that far to find an Everton victory, or certainly one with a clean sheet on a Thursday night. But from everyone here that's joined us, I'm going to just see if you've got any closing remarks. Basil, do you want to just round up tonight? And how would you describe it? Describe it in 3 words.
I'm just thinking about what this means for Everton, because I think it is a bit of a milestone. It puts down a marker, and beating it quite a good a top side, aren't they? Really, Newcastle now, after the way Eddie Howe's coached them and the team they've built. And to win that game and to put those chances away, I think that's a real boost. And I'm looking at the EFL Cup now, and I'm thinking, Newcastle are left in that draw, but there's nothing to fear there. Who else are left in that draw? There's not a great deal if we can get through Fulham that you're looking at and really panicking over. And I think now getting that benchmark 3-0 win there tonight in a night game makes you think, well, when Fulham come in 2 weeks, why not? Why can't we get through it now? I think there's a real confidence boost there.
Yeah, I think that we can easily get ahead of ourselves, and maybe it's a subject for another preview. But I think what's going to happen now is you've got that good cup match coming. We've got a home game to look forward to. But December's not an easy month. But then there's no easy game. Tottenham away, they're not going brilliantly. But then we didn't do much there. I was there last season. It just didn't happen over there. I think that we've got City at home after Boxing Day. You can't really be expecting an awful lot from that. But City, again, not going through, apologies, a great spell themselves. So maybe December isn't going to be... There's a lot of games, but certainly that cup game, there's some people that would say, no, we need to focus on the league. But that cup game would be great. But I can just see it, David. I can see us winning that and then probably get Liverpool home and away in the semi-final, which is my worst nightmare. But it has happened before. We've seen Everton play Liverpool before. There's not, that many teams left that you really fear in that competition, but it's not been a good competition for us. Yeah. Sorry, the seasonal cold is catching up with me. So Everton winning today, 3-0. If you have just joined us, thank you. Although we will be wrapping up in just a couple of minutes. So Basil, how would you describe this Everton performance in 3 words? Give me 3 words to sum up the performance.
3 words.
And as I said, we do get fans, lots of fans. It must be all my mates. Congratulations, Everton. I do like this.
3 words to describe the performance. I go like energy or some sort of word for describing Everton's work rate. I think that's my number 1. And then I think it was a game of... it's really tough because it's hard to like put a finger on it. The first half, you're really thinking, like, the word that comes to mind is like wasteful. But then the second half, you're thinking clinical, because they're actually the only chances we got in that half. We took them. So wasteful, clinical, and energetic.
Energetic, passionate, wasteful, and clinical. That was Everton's performance today. So yeah, I'd love to know.
You could describe us as rough in a way, not in a negative sense, not in an overexertive roughness. But I think there's just the Newcastle thing with Pickford and Gordon being there, and I think Tarkowski putting those tackles in. I think Everton tried; they didn't let Newcastle, settle. And I think Newcastle and Everton have very similar styles in that energy and that bite. But I think we had to match that today, and we did. So we were rough.
Just don't know where it's gone that wrong for Newcastle, but you look at their bench and you can see the weakness, and then you probably hit down onto the point regarding the number of games that they've had, and it does start to catch up with you. And Everton really have not had that many games.
It's just one of those, like, United beat us 3-0, Man United, but I mean the game wasn't a 3-0 game. But sometimes you just have games don't always reflect on the situation. But I think on this occasion we deserved that. I mean, we deserved to be like 2-0 up at half time. So I think we well deserved to come away with that victory.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was at the Man U game, and I think that game, there was a turning point really with the penalty, but it could have easily gone in 1-1. It might have been a different game. You could say that, but there haven't been too many shocking performances from Everton this term, and I think that the home games, you look at the form, the number of wins that we've had, it's been really poor. I think we've not had, I can't remember the last clean, is it one other clean sheet this season? The ironic thing, of course, is that many of the fellow Everton team who go to the game regularly didn't go today. And of course, we won 3-0. So it is going around now that we won't be attending the game, but we'll be there, of course, on Sunday for the big game against Chelsea. It's pretty evenly matched, isn't it, Basil? I mean, come on, Everton should probably be 10th. You look at Chelsea, you think, yeah, we could have them.
Yeah, you just don't know what Chelsea are going to turn up. I think they have been good in recent weeks that I've seen them. I don't know the last sort of week. The results, I'm a bit behind on yesterday's results. I don't know what. Oh, did they play to? No, they played yesterday, didn't they? I don't know how they got on, but I have seen a few bits of their games from a week or two ago, and I thought they've been well, and they picked up really good results against Spurs and City. So they're definitely capable of giving us a right game and beating us. But I think we're capable of beating them as well. So it's just a really interesting game to come into fresh off this confidence. Let's build on it. Let's bring it in. Let's try and bring in that momentum, that crowd, that energy. Let's hope we didn't use all our energy up, and maybe we'll have Garner back, or so hopefully we can continue this on and not have think, oh, we've had a high, let's have a low now. Like we used to just do that. We used to just sink to a poor game. Let's keep it going.
Well, the thing that strikes me is that you would always have one Everton turn up for one half, not two halves, and that's today is an illustration of Everton committing well to both halves. It's just not happened, and I think they just look a lot fitter. Personally, I think that should stand them in good stead for a match in 3 days' time. I think this time of year, it comes with the territory. A couple other bits of news. West Ham have just scored against Tottenham to put them 2-1 up front. It's Ward-Prowse. That match was a slightly later kickoff. It must be coming to an end soon.
Must be. It's 10:30.
When did this game kick off? Did this game kick off a lot later?
I was shocked. Our game was at 7:30, but
I think it was 8:15 this game. But that's going on. There's certainly been a hell of a lot of goals. Tottenham had 75% of the possession in that one, but it proves that we can go to Tottenham on the 23rd, and if they're performing like this, we can definitely do the business there. But yeah, we just got to keep players fit. That's the problem with Everton is we've had the players, but then anything outside the first team, we've not had the strength in depth. But at least now they can rotate the striker. Apparently the game's finished. That's Mark. Maybe it's 2-1. Lots and lots of goals in this very action-packed midweek programme. So there you have it. Everton winning 3-0 finally at Goodison, keeping a clean sheet, putting the chances away, all 21 of them converted into 3 goals. But sometimes that's what it takes. Congratulations to Everton today. We're all very, very happy and looking forward to the match. If you have friends who haven't subscribed, we'd love them to be part of the channel. We're on all the channels, Twitter, formerly known as X, of course, and all of those other ones in between, like YouTube and those video streaming platforms that you get. We're on Facebook. We're on every platform that you can probably expect. Just get liking, just get subscribing, and you have, if you like my terrible puns and things like that, I'm back for more tomorrow at 7:00. We'll be looking forward to the Chelsea game. And we'll be having a serious look at the lineup, the press conference, and what to expect from Chelsea's visit to Goodison. But for now, from Basil, from me, and from everyone at the Follow Everton team, I'd like to wish everyone a very good night celebrating Everton's victory.